What's going on, everybody? Tuesday. I'm losing track of dates. Things are flying so fast. July 11th. I'm going to give you a rundown. The studio is 76 degrees. AC still not fixed. Parts are off, still on delay. I think it's nationwide. Ever since COVID, man, our world's never the same. Never gonna be the same again. Between backup of parts, every single company out there is either behind or changed their whole protocol or has nobody working. They're all at home, and it changed the world forever. Unfortunately, but I'm still waiting. 3 weeks. Thank God it's a studio and not my home, as I know there's a lot of people that are waiting for their home AC to be fixed. It's not just a one-type deal. It's not the brand that I have. It's a nationwide parts issues. We have it with engines on our boats. We have it with cars. Hell, I wanted to get a new Suburban. It's 8 months out for Chevy to provide a new Suburban. Just tough times in a way. But they could be tougher, so we have to be grateful. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful that it's 76 degrees in the studio right now, Tuesday afternoon. I'm able to give you a rundown. And some cool things are actually happening. What a strange year, okay? Last year, around October, we had our first cold front come through. And we generally get about 2 cold fronts a week through the winter until March, April. By the end of April, May, we have more of the thunderstorms, and things change. By June and July, we're dry. By this time of year, I'm usually breaking out my gas pump and pumping water from my pond to keep my trees good and my lawn green. We're still every 2 days having rain. In fact, over the last 24 hours, the lake has actually reached the highest peak of the season. We're 402.69. That is merely just a few inches below full pool. We went again back down last week when I talked to you. I gave you a report last week. And I'm sorry, I'm only doing 1 report a week right now. It's just, again, it's so hot in here by the time I get home that it's just unbearable. I know one of you commented and said, do it anywhere, do it in your truck, Sometimes it's not as simple as that. I can't sit, and do a selfie type video. I don't have the equipment in my truck. This is tripoded camera right here. Sponsors like the backdrop. Sponsors want the studio presentation, the board, the whole 9 yards. I mean, I've done a few when I go somewhere. I've gone fishing with Brooke, and Brooke will hold the camera, and we'll still do a rundown. When I go to Florida here in August, I'm going to be gone for a week. We'll do a rundown from Florida to give you guys some information about fishing here at home. But it really is a studio born type report. It needs to be done here, along with the public report, the members only report, and my Let's Talk Fishing. Once a week I do a lesson in the Let's Talk category, which is huge. In fact, I was just starting to script up and write up this week's lesson. I haven't done a lesson in 2 weeks. This next week's lesson is going to be drop shotting, part 1. There'll be part 2 and maybe part 3, because drop shotting has so much involved. And drop shotting is not just for little fish. Anyways, I'm rambling a little bit. I want to get to the report. I want to tell you what's going on. I'm glad to be in the studio at 76 degrees today. Lake is rising, and it's going to continue to rise. Okay, this is as of 10:30 this morning. It ain't finished. So my guess is we're going to be up in the 8s, 402, 885, another inch or so at least once the creeks and everything quit flowing. Clarity 0 to 1. I would imagine some of the backwaters are going to be a little bit dirtied up. 86 to 88 degrees. We're still several degrees cooler than we should be for the middle of July now, July 11th. Normally we're about 89 in the morning and 92, 93, 94 by nightfall with a normal type of July. This is nice. Everything's green. Our grasses are green. The flora fauna is much more green. It's better than drought for sure. But in the 10 years I've been here, I've never seen it rain twice a week in June. And it's continuing right here through July. Every other day or so, we have some kind of substantial rain. And what that's doing, the reason I'm making such a good point about this, is it's keeping the fish scattered. They're in 2 feet, they're in 10 feet, they're in 16 feet, they're in 25 feet, 30 feet. There's really no true-born thermocline in the lake. You can catch all kinds of small fish in unders, slots, small slots, in the shallows, in 2 feet or less. If you'll fish wind-blown bushes and flip them with small worms, Texas rig creature baits, wacky worms, Senkos. Early morning, there could be a buzzbait bite right now. I have a friend of mine who caught him on buzzbaits the other day. No big fish, lots of little 2-pounders, cookie cutters, and some small slots. But in 2 feet or less, when the water rises, the fish rise, and it's cool, fresh water. They're going to come to that, especially in the heat of summer. So the backs of all the drains, the backs of all the creeks, hit them now. Hit them the next couple of days. If you're fishing the next few days, go shallow, especially early and late. I do know that the bigger fish are deeper. Most of the bigger fish are in 20, 22, 28, 30 feet of water. They're being caught on big worms, jigs, Texas rigs, shaky heads, Carolina rigs. They're not grouped up like they should be this time of year. And it's hard to find groups. When you do find a school, usually you can catch a few, but they're not chewing like they normally do. A lot of roaming fish, a lot of scattered fish that you can live scope, throw spoons, hair jigs, slow roll spinner bait through them, maybe a swim bait through them. But it's just really, really, really a weird year all together. All right. Fishing's okay. Every time I do fish, I catch at least one big fish, meaning 7, 8, 9 pounder or greater, but just not smashing them like we usually do this time of year. All right. If I was to go fishing myself, somebody asks me that sometimes. Why don't you, tell us what would you do, or what I'm doing with the clients. I've been fishing in a few days, so that's why I made this statement. If I was to go tomorrow, I would absolutely start out with a buzzbait and maybe a frog, and I would start in the backs of not major creeks, but little cuts and drains off the main lake. I would find myself a nice drain, a steeper, deeper drain that I know has some fresh water flow through it, like Indian, Sun Eagle Bay, that's west side lake. But I would go throw myself a frog, a buzzbait, some kind of popping top water first things, and then I'd probably flip a lot of the brush in shallow water with just a little, like a lake fork. Here's a perfect worm for it right here. The lake fork hyper worm, Texas rig, in the color June bug. And I guarantee you that I'd catch fish doing that. Would I be catching 6, 7, 8 pounders? Probably not, but I'd have a good time doing it. When I got tired of that later in the afternoon, I'd pull out and I'd fish deep points, long points, humps, channel breaks, channel swings, maybe a little bit with some wood in them. And I would definitely look for deep shell beds, 16 to 22 feet, and fish those big worms. Those are my favorite. It's a great way to catch those big fish. That's what I'd be doing. So I'd wait for the afternoon. Later, for some reason, right now, the late afternoon bite is better than the morning bite. But again, with this weather change and the flooding, the mornings could be awesome right now. All right. Let's tell you about a few other lakes. Lake Ray Hubbard with Joe Shipley, Texas Frenzy Fishing Guide Service. Joe's a great guide. Give him a try if you want to try him on Fork. He guides on a lot of different lakes, but he guides on Hubbard. He gives me a great report every week. The bass on Hubbard are in 8 to 15 feet of water on rocky points and brush piles. Shaky heads and big with trick worms and green pumpkin, and Texas rigs, 10-inch worms and plum or plum apple. Possum Kingdom, Lake Possum Kingdom with Pete Hernandez, another great guide there. Topwater bite on the dock lights, the early morning before the sun comes up. There's a good topwater bite on the green dock lights, and they're catching a lot of big fish from doing that. Once the sun's up, it's ledges and rocks, rock piles near those docks and near those areas where those fish are, and also in points. 15 to 25 feet of water has been good. 10 to 12-inch worms, Texas rig, and 3/4 1-ounce football jigs in those areas are good. Matt Cartwright on Pewaukee, the largemouth bass there. Actually, there's a really cool bite there, and with this water coming in, it'll even be better. The Berkeley El Chapo, it's like a whopper plopper, used in the backwaters around shallow lily pads and vegetation. You can also throw a frog. I would throw a frog at Pewaukee. But once that sun gets up, just flip the docks and rocks and any submerged trees with Texas rig soft plastic worms and creature baits. And June bug is also the best color there. So Lake Athens with my friend and guide, Jay Bonner. Jay Bonner actually is doing ceramic finishes on bass boats, by the way. If you want to have your bass boat finished with a ceramic finish, he's the guy, Jay Bonner. Check him out. Not only is he a guide and guides on a lot of lakes around the area, he's a Texas native, born and raised here, fished this lake 25-something years ago and knows it up and down, but he also is very good on Athens. He's been finding the schooling bass on Athens early and late. Berkeley topwaters like the Berkeley Bullet Pop, or just even a Yellow Magic Popper, is really good. Bone white, chartreuse shad, those are your best colors. Also hair jigs and flutter spoons, throw through those schooling fish, yo-yoing them through those schooling fish is really good. But once the sun gets up, the day heats up, target the brush piles, the points, the outside grass lines and humps with Texas rig soft plastic worms. Lake Levon with guide Kerry Thorne. I love this guy. He took me to Broken Bow and taught me a whole lot about the river below Broken Bow. The dam, along the dam and the riprap, they're eating chrome and red rattle traps early in the morning. Once that daybreak is gone, that first hour, you're going to want to go to your soft plastics there's too on main lake points, 10 to 25 feet. But if you have live scope and you're good with live scope, you can actually go target big fish with swim baits in the deep rock piles and underwater drop-offs. 12 to 20 feet, producing big fish, but again, you've got to have that forward-facing imaging. Forward-facing imaging stuff is absolutely important there. I kind of told you about fork, 1 to 2 foot visibility, upper 80s. Let's move on to crappie. Crappie with guide Kerry Thorne on Levon. Crappie are doing the same thing I told you last week. The average is between 12 and 14 feet, with some sitting on the bottom and 20. 16th ounce hand-tied jigs and white chartreuse or blackened chartreuse tipped with your minnow is your best. The south half of the lake is fishing better than the rest. 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. is your best bite. Lake Fork crappie with Jackie Wiggins. The crappie there is still just as hot as the temps have been. They are stacked up on the timber brush and laydowns in 18 to 28 feet of water. You really, again, you need that forward-facing imaging there. You're seeing the white crappie suspending in the upper part of the timber, and the black crappie in the bottom part of the timber. Lots of white crappie on brush piles, and lots of black crappie on the laydowns. So minnows are dominant summertime bait. Some small hand-tied jigs are working there, but he says definitely it's a great time to catch big numbers of crappie, and the live minnows is probably your best bet. Say a little bit about stripers and white bass on Levon. Kerry Thorne says you want to look for those bass on the white bass on the main lake points in 10 to 20 feet. Bounce a white chartreuse slab off the bottom, and if you'll tie a marabou hair jig about 18 inches above it, you get them fish fired up, you can actually catch two at the same time. Also, the Berkeley Jaywalker and the Berkeley Bullet Pop, have that out on your boat, a chrome and a bone white, because occasionally the fish are surfacing, and you kind of may have to be ready for that. But you check a lot of the main lake points as you're running around hitting main lake points with a slab spoon. Be aware that those bass can surface. If they surface, throw those top waters. Matt Cartwright at Tawakoni says that the stripers and hybrids could not be any hotter. They are finishing the limits in under 10 minutes every morning on live shad. You got to be able to catch your live shad. Though you're saying that, go find the shad. Throw a seine net, get some live shad. But they're literally just limits of hybrids and stripers in minutes, just mere minutes each morning at Tawakoni. The sand bass there are also at 12 to 25 feet. If you're into catfish, you know what? Tawakoni's got some catfish on humps and timber, cheat bait 18 to 25 feet. And I tell everybody this, any one of the lakes around here, Levon, Lake Fork, it doesn't matter, Hubbard, if you'll actually go chum a hole with sour maize or cattle cubes, go chum the hole and come back the next day. Put about 5 pounds of cattle cubes in 18 to 22 feet of water in a creek swing or on a long point. Put it somewhere where you can tie it to a tree, or if you got spot lock with your trolling motor, that'll work. But make a waypoint at the spot, pour that chum out the day before, and go back the next day. You can use chicken liver, you can use tub bait, stink bait, night crawlers, whatever. I like to just use cheap stuff because you're wasting your money when you use expensive night crawlers on them. But if you'll chum the spot the day before, you will fill your limits almost every single time. One thing that Kerry Thorne, he says if you'll actually find a rocky area in about 12 to 20 feet of water and pour that chum in those rocky areas, the chum falls down into the rocks, and the catfish have to work harder to get to the chum and get it out of the rocks, so they'll stay there longer. But generally 5 pounds of chum is enough for a day or two, and then if you really keep a spot going every couple of days, re-chum it. I mean, you can really get a hot spot where 25 channel catfish per person is a limit. And I have seen guides on the lake, catfish guides on Lake Fork, fill a 6-man limit. That's 150 catfish in under 1 hour from a chummed up spot, the right spot. But that's the deal. That's my public report for you. If you enjoy this, hit the like button, comment below if you have any questions. If you'd like to be a member, I'd love to have you come over and be a member. You do get more than this report in the members only. What you get is a Lake Fork specific. You get the juice. You get the good, the bad, and the ugly. You don't just get big worms and jigs as the bite. You get told what jig, what worms, how to throw them, what depths, how to set the boat up. The members only channel is huge. I have about 270 members, and they really do enjoy. Many of them, they said, man, it's all the difference in the world. If you live in the area, you're coming to Lake Fork specific, you want to catch the bass on Lake Fork in specific, you really need a little more than and you think you need a little more than a public report, look in the description below and click on the link for members only. Subscribe to my members only channel. It's $4.99 a month. Come on, man. You buy lures, go out there on Lake Fork and lose 2 worms and a football jig, and you just spent $10. Why not spend $4.99 to know exactly how to use them, where to throw them? A lot more detail in the members only versus the public. And then if you really, really want to upgrade, you can go to Let's Talk Fishing, become a Let's Talk Fishing member, and you can jump in and learn. For example, when I do this, the board here, and I talk about drop shotting, it's a 45-minute lesson. It'll be part 1, part 2, maybe part 3. So by the time I'm done, I'll probably talk close to 2 hours plus about drop shotting. That is some serious, serious information. The Let's Talk channel right now has over 30 lessons in it that you can go back and watch in the archive. Everything from topwater swim baits, chatter baits, spinner baits, crank baits, big worms, shaky heads, football jigs. I have covered all of them. Structure, shallow, spawning. Let's talk water. I do a lesson every week. If you really, really want to make yourself a better fisherman, you really want to learn and increase your ultimate knowledge of the whole picture, you ought to check out being a Let's Talk Fishing member. I also have a giveaway. Once a month, I pick a member. I use a randomizer app that spins like a wheel, picks a random member, and I give a giveaway package, which that giveaway package has all kinds of stuff in it from my sponsors. It has from Sandtone Lures. It has from Tidelines UV. It has from Go Fish Lures, some Lake Fork Trophy Lures. It has a shirt that I put in it. It has the bait of the month that I put in it. It has discount cards. It literally is probably a value of $150 a month that I give away. If you win that just one time, you will literally almost double your money in your fee to be a Let's Talk Fishing member. You can only win once a year, but if you were to be a winner, it's $60 a year to be a Let's Talk Fishing member. That's it, $60. Five is $4.99 for members only, $9.99 for Let's Talk. So if you win the package, you literally doubled your money, your value, plus all the lessons, plus everything else. Same thing. Look in the description below. When you go decide whether you want to be a member or Let's Talk, you make the decision. Give it a try. If you don't like it, you can always unsubscribe. So, listen, big shout out to all my followers, to all you guys, the public. Thank you for Texas Insider, Rick, Captain Rick Murphy, Dave Terrell, Bree. We've really been kicking butt this year with the Fishing Report. Watch it on television. You can go watch that on television. 6 captains in the state of Texas that give a really cool report once a week. 3 in the ocean, 3 in the freshwater division. I'm going to be going to Florida in August. Me and Brooke are going to go take a vacation and go fishing with Captain Rick and his son Rich, and we're going to do some peacock bass fishing. I can't wait. It's going to be really cool. We're going to catch a lot of that on film and stuff too. GoPro and Captain will have his film crews out. It's going to be fun. So, but watch the Texas Insider Fishing Report on television. It's on Valley Sports, and it's on AT&T Sports.net or Sportsnet, AT&T Sportsnet every week. Comes out every Friday. You can watch it. Set your TV to record it, and don't miss that, because it's, again, statewide, a lot of really good fishing information in the Texas Insider Fishing Report. All right, one last thing. Don't forget, if you go to Lake Fork Trophy Lures for anything, whether you're getting the big 10-inch worm, if you're getting the new color releases that we've got, the Bourbon Street, there's another color coming I can't tell you about, but it's a really cool one. Long needed color. But if you're getting any of the baits, if you're going to go get one of those hyper worms in June bug, be sure and tell them my name, I sent you. Use the code MCF. MC, the first 3 letters of my last name, 10. You'll get a discount on any in-house cord baits. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll try to come in this Thursday here in 2 more days and give you another report so we can tell you what's going on, how much more the lake's changed, and maybe a little more juice about the fishing. I'm going to open the studio back up here and let it cool down. It's already working its way back up to 80 degrees. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. God bless you, and I wish you all great fishing.